2022, and shortly before cancer struck me, I had almost finished my final postgraduate thesis at the university. It was an original and multidimensional educational scenario, where mainly students and undergraduates would develop their spatial perception and intelligence, using Google Earth, with a protocol that I had personally developed to identify new archaeological sites in Greece and Cyprus. With this protocol of mine, I had calculated that it would be enough for students of any generation, for example a first year of high school, to work in an organized manner for a few weeks, in order to thoroughly scan the entire Greek and Cypriot territory, and to end up with very serious results and discoveries. Now, of course, I aim to bring artificial intelligence into the picture, as soon as the cancer and the problems it has created for me are stabilized, and I stop worrying about how I will survive and how I will deal with toxic people and situations, and the parallel struggle I have, to prove that I am not an elephant. Let me share something with you. The idea of satellite archaeology may not be mine, but it had been stuck in my head, in the mid-80s, when I met a company in Athens that sold satellite maps. At that time, I had really excitedly talked about this idea of mine to my current wife, who was still studying archaeology. I must also confess something that does me no honor at all. All the good ideas I had from time to time, usually remained without follow-up. In essence and with my specific idea, it took me about 40 years to do anything, if we exclude the first days of Google Earth's appearance on the internet, when I stayed up all night until morning searching, among other things, for traces of unknown archaeological sites in the morphology of the soil, but more as a game, and not for a specific purpose. So 3 years ago, through truly miserable conditions and with minimal means, I was searching with the help of Google Earth, to find linear and geometric formations on the ground, which indicated possible anthropogenic activity of the past, that is, possible archaeological sites. Thus, I identified similar formations on the bottom of seas and oceans, but instead of having dimensions of a few tens of meters like those on Earth, they extend to tens and hundreds of kilometers in dimensions. Previously, in 2009, something similar was found in the Atlantic Ocean, and the explanation given by Google at the time was that it was not the lost Atlantis, nor giant alien agricultural works on the seabed, but digital errors in the imaging that reflected the course of the sonar vessels that recorded the seabed. As a physicist, I could indeed accept that these formations do not reflect real structures of the seabed. The most likely explanation is that these are artificial patterns, we call them artifacts, that come from the process and errors of the method of collecting and processing sonar or satellite data, or a typical error that occurs when sound waves are reflected on the hull of the vessel or on the nearby land and contribute in various ways. Such patterns are also created during repeated scanning, the boundaries of cartographic tiles, and in the differences in the analysis of data that we get from various sources. They often appear on bathymetric maps, such as Google Earth, GEBCO of the General Bathymetric Chart of the Oceans, as well as the European Marine Observation and Data Network, especially in areas where the mapping has been done piecemeal. I am almost convinced that most of the depictions, like the ones you see now, are indeed artifacts. However, what concerns me is on the one hand because this phenomenon of presenting clear geometric shapes is not so frequent, and is located mainly in areas of the Mediterranean. And on the other hand the diversity of the form of the structures precisely in the Gulf of Corinth. These structures, as you can see, have great diversity and organization, and contain in addition to linear, curved shapes. The issue is still relevant and serious, because none of the university geologists and oceanographers I've asked so far have given me a convincing answer. I think Google will have a hard time finding an easy explanation this time. If it's not easy to get a sonar boat through the Gulf of Corinth or south of Sphakia in Crete again, let's send an underwater drone to take some measurements and take some photos. What do you say? Do you want to help? Maybe you can take a look at the oceans and find new interesting spots. I've already done it, and I'll show you them soon. And don't forget, follow, repost, share and tap to wake up the monster algorithm. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is under construction, and you will soon find topics that I promise will stimulate every brain cell in you.